Rumours are just that, rumours. Some contain elements of truth, some contain whole truths. However, they remain just rumours until confirmation. But nevertheless, there are some that come along that you just do not wish to entertain whatsoever. And this is one rumour that I hope has no merit, because the talk today is that Liverpool are considering Tim Steidten as their director of football. And this is one I really hope is not true. The club have taken a lot of steps forward recently in terms of the recruitment this summer with the arrival of Tim Steidten. And this would undo a lot of good work, I feel. But let's start with the report before we discuss it. And it states, West Ham technical director Tim Steidten is a leading contender to be the new Liverpool director of football, sources have told Football Insider. The Merseyside Giants have begun their search for a recruitment chief to replace Jorg Schmadtke, who is leaving the club at the end of this month's transfer window. It goes on to talk about Steidten joining West Ham before it says the German is highly regarded in recruitment circles after his impressive work at Bayer Leverkusen, helping the club sign the likes of Wirtz, Tapsoba and Jeremy Frimpong. However, he has not always seen eye to eye over transfers with manager David Moyes, and there have been well-sourced whispers of disagreements over targets and deals. Sources also told Football Insider earlier this month that the Hammers have scheduled fresh contract talks with Moyes, whose contract expires at the end of the season, to extend his current deal at the club. Now it goes on to talk about Jurgen Klopp leaving and how Xabi Alonso is their number one target, or certainly a favourite to take over from Jurgen Klopp. And there's the obvious link between Liverpool and Steidten and Alonso that, you know, they've worked together in the past at Leverkusen. Now, there's going to be a lot of our subscribers right now saying, I told you so. Well, actually, if you're not a subscriber, let's sort that out. A third of you watching this right now haven't subscribed to Hammers Chat, so please do subscribe. It's free, takes 2 seconds. But on Friday, I uploaded a video discussing Jurgen Klopp's announcement that he was departing Liverpool, and how I felt that was good news for West Ham, because he's obviously had a long-standing interest in Jared Bowen, and should Mo Salah depart Anfield in the summer as expected, they may have come after Jared Bowen. But with Klopp going, the probability possibly lessened. But not only was Klopp going, his entourage was going, and Pep Lijnders is in there, and should we get rid of David Moyes, perhaps Steidten and Noble would have Lijnders on the shortlist and he would be available. But not only that, Schmadtke was leaving, who was the sporting director at Liverpool, and he was possibly someone else that was courting Jared Bowen alongside Jurgen Klopp. And when Jurgen Klopp did his interviews, he stated that they were discussing the upcoming transfer window and targets, and that's when he thought, hang on a minute, I'm not even sure I'm going to be here. And that's what triggered his thought process and led him to come to this decision. So I felt that the manager and the sporting director leaving was a good thing in terms of West Ham retaining Jared Bowen. But a lot of the subscribers said, hang on a minute, what happens if Alonso goes to Liverpool? We know they need a director of football. Will Tim Steidten be the man? Now, I've never believed that we could get Alonso at West Ham. I've always felt there was no chance, none whatsoever. But Liverpool getting Tim Steidten, I think there's merit in that. Why would he not want to go to Liverpool? Why would he not see Liverpool as a step up? Would he want to work with Xabi Alonso again? Well, possibly. It's hard to say either way. But I don't know if he'd have done it at West Ham, because I don't think Alonso would come here. But he could maybe do it at Liverpool. He would maybe have his ideal manager at a different club. And that's what the subscribers were saying to me, and it got me thinking, it got me worried, truth be told. Now, this report's come out today. However, Football Insider is not the best source, so I'm not panicking yet. This hasn't come from somebody that would make me worry. And I do think it's a bit of an obvious rumour, if you like, because it talks about how Steidten's been impressive at Bayer Leverkusen. Well, you can add West Ham to that as well. If you look back at our summer transfer window, I think you have to say 3 of the 4 have been a success. And the 4th one, which is Mavropanos, it's got a question mark. It's not been a failure. I just don't know. I just wouldn't say it's I'd say Ward-Prowse has worked, I'd say Alvarez worked, and I'd say Kudus has worked. So I'd say 3 of the 4 have come in and done really well so far. So while it's been successful at Leverkusen, I think it's been successful at West Ham as well. And he's had complete control, or it feels like he's been the top dog in transfers, not at the club. And I think we're getting a reminder of that over the last 2 or 3 days in regards to the Ibrahim Osman deal. But that's kind of a different video, but ties into this one, because I do have concerns that that deal, or the lack of that deal, it's not the message you want to give to Tim Steidten, is it? Regardless of Liverpool, but especially if Liverpool do come in for him. What I was saying was, I don't think the source is the best one. However, last summer, before he joined West Ham, he was linked to other Premier League clubs. He left Leverkusen in March. He was linked to Spurs and Liverpool, and he had talks with Chelsea. Now, I've always been reluctant to say he had talks with Liverpool. There was no proof of that. There was rumours that Liverpool considered him, and that was it. So when I say people, I've seen people state that he rejected Liverpool, Spurs and Chelsea and came to West Ham. I've struggled to buy into that one because there's no evidence of it. He had talks with Chelsea and that was it. The other two, I believe, was just rumours. So I spoke to someone today from the Liverpool side of things and just said, what was the deal with Tim Steidten and Liverpool? And this is what they told me. And I'm willing to believe it because it's confirmation bias. It matches up with my own opinion that I held before discussing it with him. And he told me that Steidten was on a short list of potential sporting directors at Liverpool, but Klopp didn't want him. For whatever reason, he didn't know why, but Klopp didn't want to work with Tim Steidten, and that's why they went down the road of Jorg Schmadtke, because Klopp was happy to work with him. But Tim Steidten wasn't someone that Klopp wanted to work with. Now, if that was true, let's go along with that. Well, that's removed now, that barrier, because initially Steidten was on a shortlist, and then Klopp got involved as to who he would have been happy to work with, and Steidten was removed from that list. But the assumption would be that whoever puts Steidten on the shortlist is still at Liverpool. That whoever perhaps wanted Steidten at Liverpool is still there at that club. So it would make sense that they would perhaps want Steidten once more. This, like I said, this depends on if you believe what they are saying, the Liverpool side of things. I'm inclined to believe it, that he was perhaps on that shortlist, but they didn't pursue him for one reason or another, Jurgen Klopp, and they went and got Schmadtke instead. But he's departed, and the guy that wanted Steidten was still at Liverpool. So that's got me a little bit worried in that regard. This could be Steiden's ideal manager to work with, just at a different club, because I've never believed Alonso would come to West Ham. And if Steidten has hopes of working with Alonso again, I think Alonso would either have to start doing less in his work, because at the minute he's doing fantastic at Leverkusen. I think he'd have to drop off a bit in terms of performance, or rendezvous at another club. What calms me a little bit. Now, by the way, I had a look to see how long Steiden's contract is at West Ham, and I can see rumours, but I can't see anything official. When the club announced it, they didn't announce what his contract actually was at West Ham, so I'm hoping it's quite long and it's watertight, and if Liverpool did want it, the compensation would be quite substantial. I'm praying that that's what West Ham have got to protect themselves. The one thing that makes me calm a little bit is Steiden's, well, I think he's having a disagreement with Sullivan at the minute, and I don't like that aspect of it. But he's also been recruiting. We know Hans is away to begin work at West Ham. I think he joins Thursday. I think he joins the 1st of February. He's got 1 day of the transfer window. But this is obviously an appointment ahead of the summer. His brother is apparently joining us as well. Can't remember his name. Moritz, I think that's his name. Just a bit. He's a few years younger than Tim. I think he's coming. So Steidten is bringing in his brother to work with us, and his data geek Hans is coming as well. So Steiden's making improvements to the recruitment team. He's bringing in his own people. So you'd imagine he can see himself at West Ham long term. Now, I haven't really discussed it, but in regards to David Moyes' contract, there's always been this belief from some of our subscribers that if Moyes stays, Steidten won't. Now, I never bought into that because I think they're getting on okay. I think the summer transfer window was good. I think Steidten had influence and Moyes had influence. The January transfer window, thus far, it sounds like Moyes is influencing it and Steiden's also influencing it. It's a good combination. So I've never bought into that if Moyes stays, Steidten will go. I've never been one for that. However, some have believed that would be the case. But Steidten bringing in his own people would suggest that he's here for the long term. Now, whether that's to work with David Moyes or because he knows Moyes is going, one of the two. I don't know which one it is. We don't know yet. Again, we go back to the start. It's just rumours, which is Moyes will be given a new contract. But Steidten will know. Steidten will know what the club are intending on doing with David Moyes. And as a result of that knowledge, he's happy to bring in his brother and somebody else from Germany that he wants in his backroom staff. So that gives me a little bit of hope that previously, long term, he's seen his future at West Ham. However, as I will always say and defend, people have the ability to change their mind, and I think it's a wonderful thing having the ability to do that. So when Steidten recruited Hans, when Steidten recruited his brother, he was under the impression Jurgen Klopp was at Liverpool and staying at Liverpool. This hadn't been announced yet. This was only announced on Friday. So the circumstances, since we've decided to bring in Hans and Steidten the second, the circumstances have changed drastically. And if Liverpool do come knocking for him, he could easily think, you know what, I want to go to Anfield actually. That's a club that I want to go to. I want to go there. I want to work with potentially Xabi Alonso. Mo Salah's probably going in the summer. That's a lot of money for me to spend. I'm going up to Liverpool. We just don't know. It's all rumours. It's all opinions. You can only take the evidence before your eyes, which is Steidten's bringing in his own people. Liverpool need a director of staff. Liverpool need a new manager. That's the evidence. The rest of it is rumours and opinions, which is Xabi Alonso is likely to be the new Liverpool manager. Liverpool may approach Tim Steidten. That's the stuff that you have to then formulate an opinion on based on what you've been given. So the other thing I will say is that I'm just checking my notes. I do little bullet points just to make sure I've covered everything. I have covered everything so far. The last thing I will say, and I'm going to do a video about this separately, is this Ibrahim Osman deal. I do not like it. Now, obviously, I did a video yesterday about how the agents are... the wrong agent is involved, essentially. I think there's another part to that. I do believe the rumours that David Sullivan's got cold feet over this deal, and I do not like that at all, because that to me suggests he's not willing to back Tim Steidten, and I do not like that one bit. And if that is true, and I struggle to, like I said, I believe that's true because there's so much sources. When we go back to rumours, when there's so much credible sources reporting the same thing, I'm inclined to believe it. So when everybody was saying that we're in advanced negotiations for Osman, I believe it. I believed we were in for him. The player himself is doing cryptic messages on social media. And then the same sources are saying that we've pulled back a little bit and it's on the back burner, it's unlikely to happen. I'm believing that too. Now the agent thing is an issue, however it can be overcome. It doesn't sound too difficult to get around that. And I think we've had a reminder the last few days of who the top dog at West Ham is, and that's David Sullivan. And that's why I have hesitation over who replaces David Moyes. Should Moyes go in the summer, who is in charge of recruiting a new manager? I've still seen no evidence to suggest it won't be David Sullivan, or at worst or best, whichever way you want to look at it, David Sullivan still has to sign it off. And I think we've had a reminder this week that even though Steidten can go do his scouting, he can go do his research, he can go negotiate a deal, ultimately it comes down to one man to sign that cheque, and that is David Sullivan. And even though he's recruited a transfer expert, he's still got people in his ear who are agents, and he's still listening to them. And I do not like that one bit. And I hope that all that's incorrect in regards to the Osman deal. Because if it's true, and the Liverpool rumour is true, how could you blame Tim Steidten? I mean, you couldn't blame him anyway going to Liverpool. But how could you blame him to go to a club or to leave a club when the man in charge isn't backing him in the January transfer? He's been brought in to do a job and then being shackled. He's not allowed to do that job. So I hope this Osman thing sorts itself out. And if anything, David Sullivan, this is more incentive for Sullivan to go and get Osman to back Tim Steidten. Sullivan doesn't have to believe he'll be a good player. That's not Sullivan's job. Sullivan's job now is to back Tim Steidten in the January transfer window, in the summer transfer window. You go get this man and show Tim Steidten you're backing him and giving him a reason to not want to go to Liverpool. But should you fail to get Osman, should you fail to back Tim Steidten, all you're doing is giving him an additional reason, which he doesn't need, giving him an additional reason to head up to Liverpool should they come knocking. But it's just transfer rumours. It's just rumours for now. I hope it's not true. That's the report. Liverpool want Tim Steidten. Fingers crossed there's nothing in it. I'm going to disappear. I'll be back later on tonight with Gonzo as we're previewing the Bournemouth game where Kudus is back. Paquette might be back. Jared Bowen's okay. Calvin Phillips debut perhaps. I'm looking forward to previewing this one actually. I'm excited for the game. But if you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on by clicking thumbs up. Subscribe to Hammer Chat. I look forward to reading your comments because there'll be some of you saying, I told you on Friday, I warned you, Gio. Do you know what? You were correct. Maybe, just maybe, Tim Steidten will go to Liverpool. That's the report. Catch you in a bit.